Henry of a Hunter traditional area and the diaspora, and chairman of Ghana Union, UK and Ireland. Tonight, we are here to educate, inform, and learn about how best we can guide our people through the right route to coming to UK if you indeed you have a skill that you can offer to this country. The idea is not to brain drain people from Ghana, but to ensure that if you do have the need to come, you come through the right route and be given the right access and opportunities that this country offers to everybody. Tonight, we are here to learn. We are here to offer you all the time so you can ask your questions. And of course, we are here by no means with somebody who we all know, those of us in the UK know, he's second to none. When it comes to legal matters, we know his work is well tested and his work has stood the test of time. On this forum tonight, we will only allow you to unmute yourself when the time arises. Please, you will not be allowed to share any information with us. We ask you to mute yourself throughout the session. And when it comes to Q&A, it's a question at a time so others can have the chance to do so. And please go straight to the point. The program is put together for your view at home, at the comfort of your home, on Facebook, YouTube, and of course, live on Zoom, with the help of Ghana Union, the Western Region Association of Nurses, the Ghana Nurses Association UK, and the Ghanaian Nightingale Association UK. It is a program endorsed by the Ghana High Commission and televised to you live on Omega Live TV. Tonight, my audience, we want to welcome our special guest of honor, who is the panelist for tonight, our very own Lawyer Bennard Owusu, who is a senior partner at BWF Solicitors at Seven Sisters, near Seven Sisters. Now, Lawyer Bennard is somebody that we all know. I know him very well, and I'm sure majority of our audience tonight have used his service or indeed have heard of his name. He has done a lot of incredible work for Ghanaian community. My view tonight is that please take time to listen to him. If I go into his credentials and his accolade, I'm sure it'll take half an hour. So a star does not need to struggle to shine. He's already shining. So he's known to be Lawyer Bennard. And if you go to BWF Solicitors, you will see all the information about him. His office is based at Seven Sisters, not far from the Seven Sisters station served on Victoria Line. Those of you who are watching from UK, Victoria Line station, just opposite across the road, his office is there. If you need his service, he's one of the most welcoming man to talk to and will guide you through. Lawyer Bennard, my brother and my big man in the community service, welcome to tonight's forum, and please take over. Let's get to work.
Oh, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you for joining us as usual. Providing service to the community is what we do. I think it's a bit humbling to have the community come to listen to you. Obviously, we're sharing knowledge, and the knowledge is to empower us at BWF Solicitors. What we do, as you all know, we do our weekly 3 live streams. We write articles and share nuggets, and then we ask questions at the end of every week, just to get you to participate and acquire knowledge. And then on Saturdays, we provide answers to the nuggets. And it's the same thing that we're going to do with this. It's basically to empower people because for me, knowledge is powerful. Everything we do depends on knowledge. If you buy a car, the manual that you use and learn and read is to empower you to be able to drive the car. And it's the same thing if you buy an iPhone or any other device, you get a manual and then you read it. Most of us are migrants in this country. And when you come here, you want to share the opportunities that you have with other people at home. And those that want to come, obviously we all encourage them to come through the lawful means. There's so many lawful means to come to the UK. And what I tell everyone is that it's just a matter of going on the internet to check And if you're not sure, to speak to a lawyer. This particular topic, that we are looking at today is very dear to my heart, not least because, it allows those local businesses that we have here, the Ghanaian and the community businesses, the Africans, not only to have staff here, but also to be able to bring staff from our home country. And therefore, when people say that I want to bring a carpenter or a tiler or a roofer or a dry liner, somebody in the construction industry, they are usually stuck because they're not sure what to do. And as your experience would have shown, most of the artisans will not really have any qualification. And therefore, people are wondering, how can they come here if they don't have a university qualification or a City and Guilds or NVQ or something like that? So this evening is to break the myth and is to direct people to the right source of information. It's an area that you can do yourself. But also what I always tell people is that if you're embarking on a journey, you need to know what a route is, where you want to get to and how to get there. Some of the routes might be dangerous and it's fraught with difficulties. And it's always important that you understand how to get there. So the broad topic is how to sponsor builders. And then the builders have got carpenters, painters, bricklayers, tilers, and plumbers. And then we will go through that in a minute. But I just want everybody to focus at this time. The Skilled Migrant Program, SW for short, a skilled worker, it's a route that obviously the UK government feels that it's the best way to have unavailable labor provided from outside and also from inside. And it's not only for people coming from outside, but also if somebody's here as a student, of course, they can work as that. Most of you will be aware of the health and social care, which started last year, which has been put on the shortage occupation. And I mentioned shortage occupation because it's relevant to our discussion today. So I'll give a broad outline. I mean, I'm using a slide because it helps me concentrate so that I don't talk too much. If you leave me, I may talk all day, and I want to avoid that. Let me put this on the side. So first of all, a skilled worker visa allows you to come to and stay in the UK and to do an eligible job with an approved employer. And all these are very, 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 very important. So first of all, the worker must be skilled, and I'll explain what a skilled means. And he should be able to stay or come to stay, and he should be able to do an eligible job with an approved employer. Now, I've broken this down to various areas. So when we say eligible job, it might be an open job, or it might be what we call a shortage occupation. A shortage occupation is occupation area that has been assessed by the MCA, who are the organization or agency taxed by the UK government to determine whether certain jobs must be put on the shortage occupation and then the relevant salary level. So once they determine that a job should go on the shortage occupation, then it cuts certain things off. It means that when you're coming here, although we don't do resident labor test anymore, there's still stringent requirements that you need to meet to bring people here. That is off. For you to be able to also come, you need to have an approved employer. Last couple of weeks, we discussed how you can, strategically place yourself to get a license from the UK government through the Home Office to be able to bring people here to come and work for you in all areas, whether it's a restaurant, healthcare, ordinary office work, every area you have, you can bring employers. But certain areas have been classified, have been classed as shortage occupation, and that is easier to bring. So you need to be an employer who has got a sponsorship license. The skilled worker must be sponsored as well. So again, this is very, very important because you cannot just take your luggage from Ghana and say, I'm going to UK to go and work. You need to be employed by an approved employer in the UK. The approved employer will issue you with a certificate of sponsorship, and that will allow you to come. And then the job must be approved on the eligible occupation. So we have something called SOC, S-O-C, which will be the UK standard occupation list. And it's a code that we use to determine which areas that can come to work here. And then the salary level also is important. The salary level must also meet the minimum requirements. And we'll come to those in a minute. So, as you know, the main salary area and the going rate for most businesses that are not shortage occupation is 26,200, or the going rate, and we'll come to that. So for our purposes as we speak, the minimum wage per hour for any of the skilled areas is £10.75. Again, I will explain that this is a minimum, but in certain instances, you can do what we call a swap, and you might be able to swap with your degree or something else to get a lower wage. So you get the lower wage if you're in a shortage occupation, or you are what we call a fresh entrant, 26 years old, studying, or a recent graduate, or a professional training, or you are in STEM, which is science and maths, somebody who's got a PhD level in that. I mean, the wage could come down to 23,580. Or you have a postdoctoral position in science or higher education. Again, the income will come down. Now, I'm mentioning this very significant points because they feed into the point system that will allow you to come here and stay. The next thing I want to talk about is that with all this, the most important aspect of all this for me, for this area, healthcare, health and care, and also construction, is the English language. And that's very significant because for you to come here, you need 70 points. And I will explain how the 70 points is acquired. But the applicant, your English language gives you 10, and then you need 60 from other places as well. But for the skilled migrant, now I have italicized the required area is reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And this is significant because if you are a tradesman in Ghana, you are a bricklayer, a mason, a roofer, a tiler, and you cannot read, write, speak English, then it means you're not coming. So you will find out that there is no particular qualification to come here, but you have to be able to read, write, and speak and listen. And you need to score a minimum of 4 in all 4 components. And that will give you a B1 at the Common European Framework. And there's a reason why they emphasize on this, because you're coming to work as a tradesman. You should be able to communicate with people in the industry, you should be able to take notes, you should be able to take measurements and write it down. And it's not only that, even in healthcare, again, the same requirement is expected. So where are we now with construction company and construction work? Last year, the government taxed the MAC, which is the Migration Advisory Committee. And their tax was basically to review occupations in the construction and hospitality industry. And as part of their process, they checked to see what was in shortage. Now, when you look at the mix, this is what they found. They said they based their decision on 2 criteria. and they considered the occupation within sector and determined 26 occupations within their scope of review. The decision they made was that the sector is important to the UK economy, which is the construction industry. And then also there's a shortage of sector workforce, and that it would take them a long time to train people to master the trade. They therefore identified certain areas in the construction industry. And then they concluded that the government needs to allow these areas to be put under the shortage occupation. So as we speak, and I'll take you there in a minute, if you look at the shortage occupation list, the current one, the live one, has got all the 5 3s there. I call them 5 3s because the code starts with 5 3. Maybe 5313, 5314, 5315, and we see the codes in a minute. So the Migration Advisory Committee has advised the government to allow these workers to come in. But we all know that there are minimum requirements for them. They need to get 70 points. So they need to have an employer who is licensed or who is able to sponsor them. They need to have the English language. They need to earn at the required level. And then they need to have the English language. And that takes us roughly to the areas that I've mentioned. So when the Migration Advisory Committee was asked to advise, this is what they found. They found that bricklayers and masons should be added to the shortage occupation. Roofers, roof tiles, and slaters should be added to the shortage occupation. Carpenters and joiners should be added to the shortage occupation. Plasterers, construction and building trades, they were all added to the shortage occupation. And what does is that broadly, although the rate for skilled migrants should not be less than 26,000 plus, as I indicated, you will see that for this area, the going rate is far lower because they've now been classified as shortage occupation. What a shortage occupation classification allows is that it allows an employer who is in the building industry to bring people here without much hassle if the person meets all the 4 criteria. English language at 4 modules, speaking, listening, writing, and reading. 2, that the employer is a sponsored employer, which means that they have permission from the Home Office and they've got a sponsorship license. 3, that they will be paid at the appropriate level and it will be the going rate. And 4, that they have the requisite experience and requirements for the job. Now, as you can see, when you go online and you put in any of these codes, which we can do, it will tell you that you don't need any particular qualification, but you should have experience possibly to NVQ level 3. And you will see what the difference is with an NVQ level 3. It doesn't say that you should have sat in a classroom, but I'm wondering, how can you read and write English to level B1, which is about O-level standard, without going to school? So although no particular qualification is expected or is required, yet it is inferred that you should have some education, because else you will not be able to read, write, speak, and then listen to English language. And this will take us to our next slide. And I'll come back to the other one. I mentioned the going rate. Now, when you look at this slide, on the left, you will see the code, which is the SOC. So for bricklayers, it's 53, sorry, 5312. And the approved income, the annual income, is 23,300. But can you see in the middle, between the 23,000 and the 18,600? That is the going rate. It is the going rate because for that particular trade, because they've been classified as shortage occupation, they have reduced what would normally be 23,300 per annum, which is £11.95 on a 37.5 hours a week, to 20,970. And this is significant. If you go to the next code, which is 5313, roofers, roof tilers, and slaters, it's 20,200, but the going rate is 18,180, and the hourly rate is £9.32. But I must stop there. Now, I did say that for all skilled migrants, the minimum wage is £10.75. However, when you're doing the swap, in certain cases, you will be able to drop it. In this case, it says £9.32. But for the minimum wage, is £10.75 for all skilled areas. If it falls below £10.75 since the 6th of April, it means that this area will not qualify. It doesn't matter that a person has got all the other qualifications. They will not be able to get a visa. And then you come to plumbers, 5314. The recommended rate is 26,700, but the going rate is 24,030, and the hourly rate is £12.32. I'm taking you through this because if you are a business that is in the building industry and you want to bring someone here, you should be able to tell what sort of income am I going to pay. And when I come to the last slide, I will explain to you why I've taken my time. Because as I speak to you, we are receiving letters from Home Office for businesses who have issued a course. A course is certificate of sponsorship to people, and they've put them on the lower income. Before 6th of April, it was £10.45. And most people issued their course before 6th of April, but the application was made after the 6th of April. And because the application was made after the 6th of April, it is important that the minimum wage at the time currently is £10.75. So although they're saying that you can pay £9.32, from the 6th of April, you have to pay a minimum wage of £10.75. You go to glazers. Now you can see that glazers, although the average income is $19.12, the going rate is 17,220. Hourly rate is £8.86. Again, that is something that you need to be conscious of, because you still need to, if you want to bring them here, you still need to meet the minimum wage, which is £10.75. And then the job that you're coming to do, as I've said, there are no formal academic entry requirements. Though if you have a GCSE grades, it's advantageous. The entry is typically through an apprenticeship or traineeship approved by a construction skills leading to an NVQ or SVQ in general construction at level 3. Let's pause here. Now, what are they saying? What they're saying is that when you call Nana Wusu from Ghana, and Nana is a carpenter, and you're bringing Nana here, and Nana hasn't got any apprenticeship experience, then there's a problem. Because Nana is expected to have an apprenticeship experience in the particular industry, although specific periods have not been defined. I would say that Nana should be able to do very basic things that a carpenter will be able to do. It's crucial to this application. Because although you are applying as a carpenter, as a mason, as a tiler, the employer must give a template job description and employment contract. So when you're presenting your application to become a sponsor in this area, as part of your due diligence, they want to see that you know the job description. And the job description for a tiler, I'm not a tiler, so I'm not able to tell. But when you go to the SOC online, they will be able to tell you what the basic requirements are for this area. The eligible codes are very important because the eligible codes allow you to issue the particular certificate. So if you're bringing a plumber here, we know that a plumber, the code is 5314. If you're bringing a bricklayer, we know that the code is 5312. Now, if you're bringing a glazer and you've put down the income as 17,280, and then you've got to issue a code under 5312, but you say you're bringing a glazer, that itself is contradictory. And that is why these codes are very, very important for everybody to know. It's extremely important that if it's the area that you want to bring people to come and work in, you understand what each code stands for and what the income requirements are. Now, somebody will ask, well, so you bring these people here, they work, and then what? Well, there are two main routes that you can bring them on. The first one is that you bring them under a 3-year contract. You give them what we call a COS, which is a certificate of sponsorship. They will use a certificate of sponsorship to apply for a visa. The certificate of sponsorship is you telling the immigration and the Home Office or the UKVI that I, Kweku Amponsa Enterprise, experts in bricklaying, I have assessed Kojo Inkansa, and Kojo Inkansa has the requisite experience to come and work for me. I have checked his English language. He has English language in 4 modules, speaking, listening, writing, and reading at level B1. And I have kept this as evidence. Now, this is where the employer's role and responsibility to the Home Office comes in. So you call BWF solicitors. Yeah, Uncle Ben, you know, I've got a construction company. I usually get contracts. Most of our people I know, they get contracts and they employ people here. They get 10 people at a time. They go and work. The contract is finished. They move on to another one. They find new people. But Uncle Ben, you know, I've gone to Ghana. I have trained people. I've recruited people. I know who are experienced and they can help my business. Uncle Ben, I want to bring them, but I don't have a license. The first question I want to ask you is that, are you willing to apply yourself to the legal requirement? Because what you're doing is that your role is going to replace the Home Office role. So the Home Office role would have initially been to assess these people and check from their certificates, English certificates, possibly through an interview, whether they have the requisite experience. They've now outsourced that responsibility to you, and that is why they've given you a sponsorship license. As part of your duty, you must have an HR system in place. I'm not saying go and buy a big computer. All I'm saying is that we're not doing exercise book exercise here. What we're doing is that we're doing a computer-based collection of data, which should be able to pass the test of time, which is transferable when they come and conduct their compliance visit. What is HR system? HR system is a system that allows you to capture the data of every employee in your employment, every one of them. Name, date of birth, telephone number, address, next of kin, email address, qualification, date of employment, salary, and everything. So you that you've called the BWF solicitors that you want to be able to do this, I want to know that, do you have an HR system in place? If you don't, we usually advise people to get either a laptop or a desktop or an iPad. Now, it can be also any device. It doesn't have to be an iPad. It can be something else that can capture data. Why do I say this? Because when you start, it's very easy. You're recruiting people. But months down the line, a year or two, the Home Office will come on a compliance visit. And when they come, they want to be able to see that everything that you've told them you would do, you've done. 4 areas. Are you paying the income that you say you're paying? Tick. Did you check their English language and they had 4 modules in those areas? Tick. The job description that you said you'll be doing, are they doing it? Tick. Have you captured their data, and if it doesn't come to work, you know what to do? Tick. Do you know their next of kin? Tick. All this is important because your duty to the Home Office is a legal duty, and it has repercussions if it's not performed to the standard required. The bottom line is that if you put yourself forward that I want to be able to sponsor people to come here, you're putting yourself forward to be 1, audited, and 2, visited, and 3, asked to provide data as and when required. So the first step you want to do is that you register your business. It may be a sole proprietor. You don't really have to register at the company house, but you have to register with HM Revenue and Customs so that you get your unique PAYE reference and tax reference number, your UTR and PAYE. Why PAYE? PAYE because if you don't have a PAYE, how are you going to employ someone and pay them? You're not going to put them on commission. They're not going to be construction. There's a scheme called construction labor where they act as self-employed. That's not what you're going to do. You're going to employ them, and that's the only reason why you're allowed to bring people here, because they will be under your command and control. If you're employing someone, you pay their tax, you deduct NI, you deduct tax, and you pay employee contribution, and then you also pay their pension. How are you doing that? Do you have Sage, or you have some other PAYE software, or you have outsourced your accounting requirements to an outside organization, which is allowed? 2, a new business, a business that has been set up today can do it. So if you're a new business today, you can come in and do it. You don't have to have traded for a month or 2 or 3 or 4. All you need to show is that you are able to meet the Home Office requirement. 3, have you opened a bank account? Because they want to know. So if you haven't opened a business bank account, then they want to see your business bank account. Or if you're going to employ people, you're not going to pay them from your personal private account, you're going to pay them from your business account. Again, sit down and prepare your job description. Now, I'm not a builder, but if you're a builder, you will know exactly what a bricklayer does. I don't know. You do. Once you've prepared a job description, you can formulate what we call a contract of employment, which usually a lawyer will have to do for you. But all this requires the input of the expert, which will be you. You are the expert because you are in the building industry. The other thing that I want everybody to concentrate on is that I said there are 2 routes. So the first route is you're bringing them for 3 years. So for the 3 years, they're going to be under your command and control. You have a duty to report them to the Home Office if they don't come to work for 10 days. How are you going to report? Once you put in your application for sponsorship and you are approved, you will be set up on something called SMS, which is a skilled migrant system. The skilled migrant system. It's a system that the Home Office have put in place, which allows you to communicate with the Home Office, including admitting people to the UK by issuing them a sponsorship license or a certificate of sponsorship. It allows you to also communicate with the Home Office in the sense that they will send you daily, weekly, monthly updates and tell you what your duties are. But above all, it's a system that will capture every activity that you do with migrants that you're bringing in or you're employing here, because their details will be on there. So ask yourself, am I able to manage this SMS? It's easy, but it's complex. Now, I say it's easy and complex because when you go on there, the information on there can be daunting. But if you understand exactly what you want to do, it doesn't take long to master the SMS. Therefore, as I said, you will need either a laptop, a desktop, or an iPad, or a device that will allow you to communicate with the Home Office using their SMS. You issued a certificate of sponsorship for 3 years, or you issued a certificate of sponsorship for 5 years. Or you can give them certificate, sponsor them for 5 years. Now, every migrant who is a skilled worker, an SW person who comes here, the SW will get settlement after 5 years. So everything we're talking about, it leads to settlement. This is not a visitor's visa. This is not Cobra Nasawe Chiko. This is Bra Nabetina. This is an area where if you come to the UK and you're working and you've worked for 5 years, you will get indefinite leave to remain, which obviously after 1 year, if you're not married to a British citizen, it leads to British citizenship. That is if you want to. Ladies and gentlemen, I have covered almost every conceivable area that I want to for the employers and for the employees. For the employees, if you want to come from Ghana, you need to do a TB test and police criminal check. So for the employee, if you're looking to be employed, you can do those things. The TB test will expire after 6 months, so be mindful. If you don't have a TB test, you cannot come and live in the UK for more than 6 months. This area allows you to bring your wife, including a woman or a man that you marry a day or two before you applied, or a day or two after you've applied, or a month or two after you've applied. It allows you to bring your children and any children that is born to you thereafter. Maybe you impregnated Akosua Mansa before you came to the UK. And whilst here, Akosua Mansa tells you, I've given birth to Nana Brown. You can bring Nana Brown. The joy that I have about this area is that on this occasion, this is not the most significant employment like IT software development that only few people can come. This is bringing people from the very, very, very lowest of the low, including people who are construction laborers. Because a construction laborer is somebody who helps a master on site, possibly take the saw or the hammer, but through their work, they would have mastered certain areas of the trade, and therefore is open to all. Must you be a tradesman? No. So if you are a businessman, so you obtain your sponsorship license, you then go and recruit a manager, and then the manager will manage all these people for you, and then they will do the work for you. But please bear in mind that you should be able to pay these people through the work they're doing. You cannot bring them and not give them work. The reason why you provide your PAYE is that now and then the Home Office will go and check with HM Revenue and Customs. It's Akosua Mansa Enterprise or Akosua Mansa Construction Company. Are they paying Miss Lawyer that they brought here recently? So they send your PAYE code to HM Revenue. HM Revenue will then email them and say no, and then you get a phone call. We're coming there tomorrow. Now, if that were to happen, then you will have a problem. The whole scenario that I foresee is that this is an area that will help our people. But again, it's an area that if we are not careful, it can lead to people abusing other people. And it is therefore significant that if we are bringing workers here, we've got a means and the mode to be able to support them. Now, I'm not sure whether you can see that I've gone on the internet. Can you see? Can you see that I'm on the internet? Let me see. I think. Okay. So let's see, where are we? Okay. So I'm now on the internet. As you can see, I'm on the Home Office website. What we want to do is that everything that Bernard has said, is it true? Okay, so I said 5313. So we want to go to 53s. So we go to the 53s. We are almost there. And these are the 53s. So we start from 5312. Bricklayer and mason is there. 5313, roofers and roof tilers is there. 5314, plumbers, heating, ventilating, and you can see ordinary plumbing is here. 5315, carpenters and joiners. 5316, glazers. Now, the reason why I showed you this is that you can see that there are other areas there as well. You can see all the areas that have been captured on the occupation code. Now, this side of the online form is the going rate. SW means skilled worker. So if you take a chief executive and a senior officer, as I told you, you can bring any area. You can bring any person to come and do any work if you can find them here. But when you come to the middle, 90% of the going rate, and then 80% of the going rate. The reason why is that if you have a STEM qualification or a PhD, you are allowed to swap your degree for points, and you will be able to reduce the income. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where I pause and take questions if there are any. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, Nana Kwesi. Paul is Kwesi there, and you can take over. I'm happy to take your questions, and then Fuad Abubakar Mohammed said, I have a question. Fuad, you can ask me.
For the Q&A, Emmanuel will join soon. Please start.
Okay. Yes, you can ask me, Emmanuel. Fuad, you can ask me. Fuad, unmute yourself and ask me. Okay, Jeffrey Boateng, you can ask me. Unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hi. Please identify yourself and ask the question.
Okay, Mohammed, please.
Hello, Mohammed.
Yes, please. Hi. The question I want to ask is, I'm currently in the UK with my wife, and she's on student visa. I wanted to know if, let's say, I happen to have skills in any of the skilled section of the visa, and I've been employed. Can I apply for a skilled visa whilst in the UK, or?
Yes. So we call it switch.
Okay.
Once you're here legally and you're not here as a visitor,
okay,
you can switch to a lot of areas. So this is an area where a student can switch to, and a student dependent can switch to. So if you're in the care industry, you can switch to this. If you're in this industry, you can switch to the care industry. The
Okay.
student here can also switch into, once you've got a valid visa, you should be able to switch. There's no problem at all.
Okay. And also, a follow-up question. What if you are a manufacturing worker? Does it also apply?
Well, as you can see, almost every conceivable occupation, you can bring someone or
Okay.
employ someone here. But
Okay.
if they are not in the shortage occupation, you need to justify why you're not employing a local person and you're employing this person. But if you're in a shortage occupation, like construction industry, like healthcare, you don't have to justify why you're bringing somebody from outside.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. Okay. You can raise your hand and Nana will call you. Raise your hand. So what happens to an employee who comes on a 3-year sponsorship? What happens is that you work for 3 years, and I'm assuming that when the 3 years is almost up, your employer will issue you with another course or certificate of sponsorship. If you're coming from outside, it's called defined certificate of sponsorship, so D course. If you're in the UK, it's called course, certificate of sponsorship. But he can also issue 5 years at a time. Every business is different, and businesses may like to plan 3 years at a time or 5 years at a time. Okay, if someone with masters in IT wants to come here and work, what does he need? What you need, as you saw when I took you live onto the Home Office website, there are IT occupations that you can come and work in if your employer is a sponsored employer, which means they can employ you and bring you to the UK, and then you have to meet the minimum requirement on the income. Any more questions? It looks like, I've covered almost all the areas. So, everybody seems to be okay. Jeffrey, we've answered. Jeffrey, are you still there? Jeffrey, ask your question.
All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jeffrey.
Perfect. Thanks for the, obviously I'm based here in the UK, so thanks for the presentation you've done today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Now, I run a limited company. I'm a project manager, so I work for a lot of main contractors who do, a lot of contracts here, but I've set up my own limited company doing construction here. Now, my only question that you haven't answered is, it happens with companies. Now, if, let's say, I intend to have jobs forever and projects coming in, but if my project dries out 2 years into, or there's a 6 month, or let's say 4 months gap where I do not have work, how does that work? Obviously, it's still my obligation to pay the person, isn't it?
Yes, and those are the things that I want every employer to be aware of.
Okay.
You take the care industry. So you can go for several contracts at a time. If you go, I've got clients who are in the dry lining, and I'm sure one of them is online now, so I'm not going to talk too much. So in the dry lining industry, he's well known and he's well respected. So they get big contracts, and he gets a subcontract. So every day of the year, he has work. And every day of the year, he struggles to find people to come and work. So the reason why he may not take a particular job is because he hasn't got a people, and his reputation is equally as important to him as the income he will make.
Understand.
But as an employer, that's why you need a business development manager, somebody who will go out and source for work for you, so that as soon as this is about to finish, you have another one starting. And also be mindful. I know somebody will go and bring 50 people. Nobody will ask you that quick. You can bring 200 people. You don't have a problem. But make sure that you're able to pay the 200 people you're bringing.
Of course.
If you don't have an income, how are you going to pay them? This is some of the factors that I want people to put in. And that's why you already have a business, so you don't have a problem. That's why when I sit down with my clients, I tell them that our starting position is going to be a business plan. And a business plan will entail a business forecast. That is very important because you get an accountant to prepare a budget for you as part of the business forecast. You look at your strengths and you look at your limitation. Those are the SWOT analysis that I want every person to look at before they go into these areas.
Okay. Now, another question. Would you recommend, obviously, your practice to have a look at, do you welcome business plans for you to kind of screen through it?
Okay. So because we are so busy, I have two ladies, in fact, who are business development specialists who can look through your business.
That's great.
Yes. Okay.
Can you leave their information or your information in the below?
Okay,
so that we can reach them?
I will try and do that. I'll do that. I'll send it to Linda and she will leave it. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you kindly share the recorded presentation? Well, yes, Nana, I'm sure Nana will be able to do that. Please, can a professional person like an accountant be eligible? I told you, every occupation, restaurants, care homes, welders, teachers, every conceivable occupation, you can bring someone, but please, if the occupation is not a shortage occupation, you need to justify why you're bringing in someone when you haven't considered, although there's no labor test, resident labor test. It's always important to justify. So yes, an accountant can come in if you've got somebody who's employed you. Please, I'm a professional electrical technician in beverage industry. Oh, classy. But I wish to work and stay in the UK. What do I do, sir? Now, I should come to a layman. What a professional electrical technician in the beverage industry is, I have no idea. But your best bet is to go on the Home Office website. It will list all the people who have a sponsorship license in all the areas. And if you want to come, you will be able to reach out to them and then they will bring you. I have a question, please. Peter Jr. Peter, we can hear you now. Okay, unmute yourself. If not, Richmond Asan. Nana, I hand over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Bernard. We had some emergency. We had to evacuate. I'm still doing this from work, so please, my apologies. But I'm glad that you are able to take over and get the questions through. It's been an interesting topic, and I am very, very indeed pleased that you've been able to take us through all the aspects of what we need to know. We will take a few seconds break. Bernard, if you can take yourself a glass of water, we will come back. My question is that all the answers that you've given and all the questions are yet to become, if all of us can put it together so that when we come back, you will have the opportunity to raise your hands and then ask your question. I have a few questions here myself, and I'll go through with you at some point when we come back. So, audience, we'll be back in a few seconds while you take a drink and get yourself prepared.
Hello! You're from a Calibos, the Willie boss. Oh, wait, that's New York for more, America for more. Tap in tea, may cheer yourself and then in my bedroom, New York City, say, sometime. Some money here, your most reliable, fast, secured money transfer app. Your tap send about New York City. Ne san say ye near 3 years ye muntino. Ya pesi a boy a customer's phone now. Ni say wunti tap send the new feature be a beka ho be boa na bon ho ban a protect so na so send ni sika ye hu nipa wo send nti ano no obeko app na so no upload o passport ana say o driver's license ana say o resident permit card o upload ya yes ramo no say twa selfie ka krebi aka ho that's okay we are ebe boa ma tap send be hu nipa ko a o send sika every wo account ni mu e wo tap send app no so boa yen ni emboa o tap send it's secure, it's fast, and it's convenient everywhere baby.
Araba, there are some people at the door. Go and tell them I have traveled to Russia.
Yes, Daddy.
Where's your father?
My father said I should tell you he has traveled to Russia.
Your father has killed me. I sent him money from America to complete my house for me.
Are all student association contributions?
Even the money from the fundraiser for Kweku's surgery.
Oh! He too? Don't be a victim. If you're contributing to a project, alumni dues, or any public campaign, Chango is your best choice. Chango keeps track of all donations and gives you the power to know exactly where the money goes. Chango is approved by Bank of Ghana. Call 0270-066-614 or visit changoapp.com for more information.
Uncle, my father is hiding under the bed.
Oh, Araba.
Chango for your groupings and crowdfunding.
At Diaspora Insurance, we understand the importance of dignified send-offs within Ghanaian culture and traditions. We also understand that you want to avoid the double trauma of your family grieving and not having the financial support to cover funeral expenses when you're not around. With our Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan, you can now cover yourself or your family in Ghana or abroad. With no medicals required, we'll accept you if you are under 75 years. Visit our website today or call us to complete a simple form in under 5 minutes. With Diaspora Insurance, your peace of mind is guaranteed.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Tonight, we've been able to go through aspects of things we need to know and what we need to put together to be able to sponsor somebody who, for a reason or the other, has the desire to want to come to UK and work. We've had the privilege of the distinguished presence of our lawyer, our very own Bernard Owusu of BWF Solicitors, who has taken us through this. I do ask the audience, please, if you have any questions, please raise your hands. We will do so as you do. But in the meantime, I will ask one question. Bernard, before the program, I had somebody asking, is this an attempt to support? I'm sorry, but I had to exercise a bit of patience. Somebody asking, why are we promoting brain drain to UK? Do you think we are doing that? I mean, I did say to the person, we are only educating people so that they don't go around going through the, what is it called? The style of going to Italy and dying in the sea. We're giving people the opportunity to know the right thing so that we can at least help them. What is your view on that? People think that we are actually almost aiding and abetting the UK government to.
Well, I don't subscribe to that particular view. Each and every individual has a right, and it includes a right to travel outside to go and work. Our governments, when they come, always call for the diaspora to get involved. And there's something called transferable skills or transferable technology or knowledge. And if somebody's come to work here, and I'm saying that I'm somebody who has seen people, be it in the kitchen making industry, in the tiles industry, and car mechanics, and all areas, go to set up in Ghana, and their professionalism about work is totally different. We've just got in the discussion portal, somebody's saying, I'm a licensed teacher, but I'm still at home. Now, what do you say to this person? That stay at home because you're very patriotic. I don't think that anybody leaving Ghana to find work and better their lot, including their family, it's unpatriotic. This is what I say to people. Whether you like it or not, people will travel. And people will travel using unapproved routes. Sadly, we've seen the body bags that have been deposited at the shores of the UK and France. That's what we don't want to see.
Yes.
And for us as a business and a law firm, when we work in the community, something that I've done since 1992, what I tell people is that we will give you the knowledge. You will have to make your decision. And giving the knowledge empowers people. And I remember when I started practice in 1992, there were hardly 10 Ghanaian lawyers. Now we have tons and tons of Ghanaian lawyers who are providing knowledge and information to the community. And as part of my work when I started, what I wanted to do differently is to be a community lawyer. And that's what excites me, that I remain part of the community and provide information.
Yes.
You know what that does? That makes people aware of their rights so that they don't do the wrong thing. And because when you get mixed up with the law, especially when you come through unapproved route and you're caught and you're put in detention, it's not the best of humane place to be. So we're not promoting brain drain. We're showing people that there are better ways of coming to the UK.
Right, thank you. There's also a question. I'm glad you've clarified that, and I almost have the same conversation with the person. Somebody's asking, how about housing for your client? Say, for instance, you've invited or you've sponsored somebody for work purposes. Who plays the role of making sure they have somewhere to stay until they start their first job and until they get their money, the first salary, and all those other things?
Okay, so as a good business practice, all our clients, we help them to do what we call transition and welcome training. It's the same way when you go to a place that you don't understand the culture, you do a transition training. So as part of this process, you are allowed to vouch if you're an A-rated sponsor. As part of you issuing the certificate, you say, I'm sponsoring this person. That allows you to provide 28 days of accommodation and 28 days of maintenance. That is all you need to do. Now, once they've come in, good businesses will have arrangements with landlords and secure places, rooms usually. So it might be a multi-occupancy place. But your duty really is to ensure that your staff's welfare is catered for. You don't really have a duty to provide accommodation, but I would say for the first month, it's always good to have a proper transition arrangement in place. Either in Ghana, look, for those of you who are looking for businesses, these are the sort of areas that I tell people, why don't you set up in Accra or Kumasi or Sunyani or some other place? And your business is to prepare people to settle in UK, including the language, the weather, the etiquette, transport system, so that when they are coming, they have an idea of what they're coming into. And it's a business. Ghana, people do it for the expatriates who go into Ghana. I've got a friend who does it. She does it brilliantly, and she gets paid very well. So these are businesses that, again, you can look at. But employer, if you bring someone here, you want the person to be able to give you their best. So it's good to support them and help them settle initially. It will be helpful for your business.
Okay. Before I go to those whose hands are up, just so others can, figure out what they need to ask and raise their hands. Someone is asking me, what a role does the job agencies do? Could they also say, for instance, agencies can they also bring people here, even though they themselves don't employ you directly, but pass you on to other companies?
Yeah, for skilled labor, if you want to bring someone in as a skilled migrant, you should be their employer. Now, I use the phrase, they are under your command and control, so that you are in charge of the employment. If I have a contract with Besto Eves or with Bovis Homes, and Bovis Homes says, I want bricklayers and masons, the contract is between me and Bovis Homes. So I'm not supplying the labor to Bovis Home. I'm providing them with a service. So we have a contract. Maybe they pay me 100,000 for 10 staff. So I take my 10 staff. I am in charge of their employment. Bear in mind that they've gone to a site and they're going to work. Their employment requirements are done by me, although on site they might have a supervisor. That is not employment agency. That is you being in total control and command of the employee.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Bernard. May I call on Peter Jr., please? Peter, if you want to unmute yourself and please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Owusu Bernard. I think it's been a very insightful presentation. My question, I'm not sure you may have already covered. You mentioned that if someone is in UK legitimately, they can switch. Does that cover visitors as well?
Okay, so I did say with the exception of visitors. So
Right.
if you are here legitimately, you can switch. Visitors, if you look at your visitors visa, it tells you that you don't work and you're not allowed to switch into this area. The only thing visitors can do is to extend their visa as private medical patients going through the NHS by paying privately. Or if you come here for 3 months and your visa is expiring, you can extend for another 3 months. Because the maximum period you can stay every time is 6 months.
Okay. Someone is asking for Bernard's details. If you need to contact Bernard, Bernard, would you be able to share your details on
Yes,
chat
I'll
for
give
us?
it to Linda. Linda will share. Linda or Paul will
Yes.
share it.
And if you are in that, if you're struggling to get hold of Bernard, please let me know. I certainly will be able to help. Bernard is a senior partner of BWF Solicitors based in Seven Sisters, just opposite Seven Sisters Station. Those of you who are in UK or London specifically will not have an issue locating it at all. He has friendly team. Whether he's there or not, nothing changes. The work gets done. And it's done just as he would have done it. So if you don't see Bernard, don't think your life has come to an end. He will definitely make sure he has, skilled professional people who can guide you through. Ella Chairmansa, please, would you kindly unmute yourself and go for your question?
Hello, good evening, Uncle Ben.
Good evening.
Daniela Nottingham.
Hello, my dear. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Uncle, I've asked you this question, but I didn't have the courage to go further. The question now is, I'm into cleaning business. I have this cleaning company. And my question was, can someone who have no knowledge about this construction work jump into it, like registering a business and sourcing people for contract construction companies in UK here?
Yes, that's called entrepreneurship. And if you're determined to go into the business, you don't have to know the business per se, but you should be able to source for work. And there are people whose quality is as marketing salesmen and including negotiations. So you can put a team together, you source for work, and then you send your employees to go and do it. So you can. But I always tell people, watch before you jump. So if somebody wants to go into the care industry, I always advise them to speak to one of my clients. If somebody wants to do business development, to speak to one of my friends. So that's how we are able to guide people. If this is what you want to do, I've got a client who I know is one of the best construction workers in this country. He has his own business. He employs a lot of Ghanaians. I can ask him to speak to you and he will be able to advise you. He's excellent.
That would be helpful, Uncle.
So call me after.
I said, I never had the courage, but after listening to you the last time and today, I still have that strong feeling that this is something I can do. So
it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I like your entrepreneur spirit, and that's what we want to see in the community.
Definitely.
So can I chat to you after? Or when is the best?
Absolutely. Yes. I'm still in Seven Sisters, so when I finish, you can call me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ella. Thank you. Somebody's asking, do you need a minimum capital outlay to become a sponsor?
No, you don't need a minimum capital, but this is what I tell people. You're bringing 10 people. You don't have any money to start paying them. You haven't really secured anything yet, but you're bringing 10 people, which is possible. So you just be mindful that once you take on the responsibility, you're providing the person with an employment contract. The employment contract says that the employment starts on the 5th of September. They get here on the 1st of September, from 5th of September, they are your palaver and you will have to pay them. So let's be mindful that this is business and you go into business with the idea to succeed. You have to learn about that business. If it means you go on training, you can do. So there are people who do these trainings for people in the building industry, and they do training regularly. And you can go to these trainings, and through that, you will be able to have access to a network of contracts where you can bid for contracts and be able to provide. But what I can tell you is that builders are in short supply. When have you ever needed a plumber and just taken a phone and called and they said, I'm coming? It never happens. Painter, it never happens. So builders are in short supply, and it's always important that if you're going into a business which has shortage of personnel, one, you should be able to find a business and you should be able to provide the workers to go and work in the business.
Somebody has put a message which I don't see. Richmond Asan. Do we have anyone called Richmond Asan? If you want to, please unmute yourself, because you've said, I have a license as a teacher, but I'm still in the house without employment. Is there any place for me as well? I'm led to think that you are, I'm not sure where you are calling from or where this question is. Are you from Ghana or UK? Because we need to understand, what do you mean you have a license as a teacher? So we know how to direct your answers or how Bernard will respond to that. So if you are with us, please raise your hand and ask your question. Otherwise, I will assume, of course, that Bernard, as always, does an extremely good job and he doesn't need more questions. So you would have all understood what he said. But if you want to ask the question, this is the time. Hila Adu, please. While we are waiting for Richmond, who sent me a private message, if you want to come and raise your hand and ask the question, please. Hila Ado, if you are with us, Dr. Hila Ado, please.
Yes, sorry, good evening.
Good evening,
is it Kwesen?
Yes.
Nana Kwesen. Yes, I'm in Ghana. Greetings from Ghana.
Thank
I
you.
see you in the background of Ghana as well. Are you in Ghana or you are in the UK?
I'm sitting in Westminster Building,
Parliament
in the
okay.
UK.
Yeah. Yes, I am an academic, but I have undergone some ILO training courses, and I've registered a company called Migrate Right. In other words, before you migrate, you should have some training, some understanding of the process. And yeah, well, one of what we do or we want to do too is to, send those who want to go out after giving them that briefing, after giving them the training. How do we work together?
Well, I mean, obviously, Nana Kwesen is chairman of the Ghanaian Union. You can share your details with him. You can share your details with me. And, I can have a discussion with you later. And then, you can look at that.
Yes, thank you. And Bernard, you are chairman of Ghanaian Homecoming Summit. So Diaspora Homecoming Summit. So we have a strong work to do to,
Well, somebody's asked a question.
I know.
Right? He says that the title of the meeting included a job painter, painters on the skill shortage list. This is what I would do. I will take you to the Home Office website, which I have. And you can see here.
Yeah, there.
And you've got painters there. So this is the type of painters is one: Atixer, French polisher, paper hanger, chip sprayer, and wood stainer. So this is the sort of painters they're looking for. Now, what an artisan is or French polisher, I'm not sure. But I know what a paper hanger is and a chip sprayer is and a wood stainer is. So somebody also said, can you go to the website again so that we capture it? This is the website. I'm taking you to the top. And this is what it is. As you can see, I'm live on the website, and it's under the immigration rules. And it's got eligible occupation codes and going rate. And then I'm looking at the appendix code, eligible occupation codes and going rate. And this is where I am, and everything is here. Somebody also asked, is an accountant. Well, as you can see, all these areas are potential areas that you can bring people. Information technology, IT director, technical director. They are not in the shortage occupation, but they have a code and they are allowed to be brought here. And then when you go to the bottom, you can see other areas, electronics engineer. It's not only that, you go to the public industry, which is the pub managers, nursery teachers. You can see other areas which people may want to also take sponsorship in. Probation officers, welfare, quality assurance, regulatory professionals, environmental. So Tankasi people as well, they are all here.
Okay, so Bernard, this question has been coming on and off to some of us, including, I believe, yourself. Those who are in this category but don't know of any contact in UK for sponsorship, but are willing and want to find a way of coming here. On the other side of the Atlantic, how does that work? Because many a times we are led to believe that there are some recruitment agencies over there, somehow misleading people to think that, oh, they can try and bring you to UK. Does it always have to be with sponsorship from somebody here, or there is an agency that we can signpost them to?
Well, I mean, as a lawyer, I'm very careful with who I refer people to. I'm extremely careful. I have businesses that I look after. I know their system and how they work. And when I refer people, I say, speak to this person. They can. But if your first point of call is to go to the Home Office website and look for sponsors, sponsored employers, and go through the list. It's a long list and then the very tiny letters. So you might need a magnifying glass, or you might have to blow your system. You can find it from there, but I'm cautious when I'm recommending. I'm very, very careful.
Okay. So a family member who came on a care sponsorship visa has not started work more than a month since he arrived in the UK. The company is yet to put her on a rota. Would this not affect her status?
Well, again, as I tell people, the employer has a duty. So when you're prepared to bring people here, you should be prepared to abide by the rules of your responsibility. The rules are that, one, there should be work available. And when you apply to bring this person, first of all, you go on the sponsorship management system. The SMS, the sponsorship management system, you then tell the Home Office. They will ask you, how many people do you want to bring? You say 50. Fine. Tell us why you want to bring them. So you write 100 characters, no words. Sorry, 1,000 characters or 2,000 if it's inside. I have a contract from Bovis Homes to provide 50 workers, from bricklayers to tilers and plumbers. And that is why I can even show the contract. You bring in the 50 people and then they don't have work. You should have a good explanation. It's a business you're running, and just be mindful that any of these people may sue you because you've got an employment contract with them. Yes, I know that in UK, if you don't have work, you can lay people off. That's true, especially if they haven't worked with you for the stipulated time. But you also have a duty to report to the Home Office if they haven't worked. Because if they find out and they come, then, as I said, the compliance visit may lead to one of three things. They might ask you to improve and downgrade you from A to B. Once you go to B, you can't bring anybody, but you can keep those you have. They might take your license, or they might also punish you. Now, I'm careful when I'm doing this public event not to scare people. But the function that you've taken on to dole out, in effect, visas to people to come here, we all know that it was Home Office function. And it's a function that they jealously guard. They've franchised that responsibility to you. It behoves on you to ensure that this function that I've been entrusted with, and when you go on their manual, these are the words they use: trust, integrity, trust, integrity. So when they come and there's no trust and integrity, the next thing is to punish you, take away your life. They cannot take away your business, of course. But you've brought 50 people here. They've come with their wives and children. They've said, bye-bye, mommy, in 5 years, I will get indefinite leave. They are here 12 months. They've revoked your license. They haven't got anywhere to go, which means they have to go back. Can you imagine the aggro that these people will be giving you? And I'm sure that all of us are determined to ensure that when we say we are working in an industry, we are indeed working in that industry.
All right, thank you. Bernard, somebody's asked a question, which I think we need to clarify. Somebody was asking, what does it take to register a business in UK? I think we need to distinguish between registering a business in UK and registering to sponsor somebody to come here.
Okay, so to get a sponsorship license, you don't have to be a limited company. You can be a sole proprietor. So you can say Nana Kwesen Enterprise,
right,
but you need to register with HM Revenue because you'll be employing people and they need to give you a code, which is a PAYE, and a UTR, which will be your UTR. You also need to make an application to the Home Office. As part of the application process, Home Office wants to see two things: your UTR, which is your unique tax reference number, or Ghana, they will say TIN, or your PAYE, pay as you earn, because you're going to employ people. You're not going to employ people as self-employed. You're going to employ them as employees. And therefore, you need to deduct tax and NI and pay all the other necessaries.
Okay. Peter Jr., you are back again. Please, would you unmute yourself? I'm keen to let those who have raised their hands ask their question. Peter?
Yeah, thank you very much. This is just a quick question. In terms of if you want to set up, let's say, a company, do you need to have a minimum requirement in terms of the number of people you wish to sponsor? Is there a minimum number? Can you start from maybe one or just two?
You can start from one,
okay,
and upwards. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Very helpful.
You're welcome, Eric.
Okay. I'm a carpenter in Ghana and I would like to come and work in the UK. Please, can I get in touch? Of course. As we've said, Bernard details has been shared in the chat room. Please familiarize yourself with the details. And if indeed, what I have here is that Bernard BFF solicitors can be contacted on 0208 493 7340. And it's also on 077127 62884.
No, 61884.
Right, 61884. Those calling from abroad, of course, please don't forget to do +44 and remove the zeros in front of the 2 or the 7 to get through. Those of us in UK, Bernard, BF Solicitors is based at Seven Sisters, Anna House, and the Tottenham High Road. Just for me, it's easier to say just opposite Seven Sisters Station. You come out of the station, just around the corner. You don't even have to walk 2 seconds, and it's there. So Bernard, so what about charities? People who are not for-profit organizations looking for people to want to come and help with functions, other things that some of us are involved. How do we go about that?
Well, for many, many years now, charities are able to bring people here. You can still do, they can come and work for a year and then go. Yes, so charities, but it's not similar to skilled worker. It doesn't lead to settlement. The person will have to leave.
Right. Okay. And we don't, is there a criteria that is different from the this kind of sponsorship scheme set out?
Yes, so the charities have a specific role. You need to be registered with the charity commissioners, and you need, whatever you do must be something that is allowed in the UK. And there's a Jewish charity, there are other charities that do healthcare, even the people that sell the secondhand clothing, what are they called again? They are able also to bring people. I know Ghanaian churches who have a charity that bring people as well, and they come for a period of time and then they go back.
Right. Okay. So what's the cost of a sponsorship license from an employer's point of view?
So to apply, the fee is £200. And if you want a priority service, you pay £500. So give and take, it's about 700, and that's all you pay. Now, every time that you need, so when you're applying, they will ask you, how many people do you want to employ in UK? Right. And then you say, well, maybe I know 5 people. You need to give their names and passport numbers. But before you do that, you need to check whether they've got a right to work, because you're going to Home Office, you're putting somebody else's name there. And if they don't have a right to work, it means you haven't done your job properly. And already they will not be able to trust you. It's therefore important to make sure that you have. You can also apply without telling them how many people you want to employ now. Once they've given you the sponsorship license, they give you a unique reference number. They give you an SMS, which is a sponsorship management system. They give you a code, you log on, and then you say, I want to bring 20 people from outside the UK. And then they give you, within 24, 48 hours, you get the right to bring the people, and then you start giving the codes out to people. And the way to do it, you perform an assessment. It's a craft, okay? And it's a legal requirement. I'm afraid I know people do it themselves. And the many stories, I've seen somebody who's here illegally, who's been given a certificate of sponsorship. And what that does is that it damages your credibility. So the Home Office will just come, and if you're not careful, they will just take away their license. And that is why I tell everyone that if you're asking people to work for you and you're bringing them, because the area is so complex, spend a little bit of cash and give it to a professional. So there's not a lot of money to manage your system for you, but to set you up itself requires a lot of work. And then therefore the initial charge might be a bit more, but on the whole, once you're set up and you follow the things that we tell you to follow, and the Home Office says you should follow, you will not have any. They will come and go. They will come and open your top box and open your trunk and your portmanteau, and they will find absolutely nothing.
Right. So as a question to me here, are pensioners allowed to work in UK? I presume somebody would like to think if you are, let's say, a Tyler in the Ghana Police Service, at 60 you retire and you still have the energy you want to continue. In UK here, if you get a sponsor, are we limited by certain criteria or barriers to coming in that contest? Age or those kind of things?
There's no employment discrimination. I mean, my dad is 83. He's as fit as a fiddle. I mean, he's as strong as he can be. But of course, I remember in 1996, it was in the news of the world that somebody's brought a Russian roofer who was a one-legged man. I mean, how can a one-legged man be a roofer? And it was a blow-up, a big blow-up for that particular business that brought the one-legged man to be a roofer. Can you imagine the one-legged man being a roofer? These are the things that you want to watch out. So you're getting an 85-year-old man to go and be what? A breaker? How is he going to climb the scaffolding and do that? So yes, if I've got friends who are in their 60s and they are in retirement playing golf, they can work. So the fact that somebody is retired doesn't mean they are incapacitated. But with all this, you just need to be mindful of what they're coming to do for you.
I see. Cynthia, please, Cynthia Poku, if you're here with us, please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Nana, for giving me the opportunity. I'm asking this question for other people who would like to migrate to the UK. Looking at, unfortunately, today I could not join the line early. I don't know whether you've already touched the question, but I'll still go ahead and ask. Just this morning, I was talking to somebody in Ghana. I'm calling from the US. I was talking to somebody in Ghana, and what he tells me is a lot of nurses who migrated to the UK are still staying home without a job. That notwithstanding, looking at the way Uncle Bernard is talking, it looks like bringing somebody, a migrant, to come and work in UK looks very simple and easy with regards to visa and other stuff, and then the availability of the job. Now, here is the case, a lot of people who have passed the entrance exams or so as nurses to come to UK are paying around £15,000 or so to agents. That is what we hear. And I ask myself, £15,000 is not easy to get. How are you going to reconcile that, or how is that possible? And are they going to be refunded? These things beat my mind. So I don't know if there is an explanation or how somebody can deal with that for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I think this is one of the reasons why these forums are very important, because all of us, we see on social media, recruitment centers in Ghana and recruiting people, and you get all your family members and friends bombarding you, help me come, help me this. But they don't understand the system. But I will leave the professional to educate us.
First of all, direct agent recruitment is bad under the United Nations Health Organization, and the UK Code for Healthcare Providers also bars it. So before, the NHS will pay the recruitment agents, maybe for each individual, they might pay 2,000 or 3,000 for them to go and recruit people for them. That has been bad. What is not bad is the employer himself coming to recruit you, or you reaching out to the employer. Now, everything I've mentioned, there are charges involved. So when you pay what we call the immigration skills charge, the immigration skill charge plus the application fee on the COS for 5 years is about £2,009. For 3 years, it's about $1,199. And then you make your application, which is not very expensive. It's about $350. For your dependents as well, it's about $350. So there are costs involved for the people who are bringing you. And those costs, obviously, they are allowed to charge if they should charge. But I'm not sure about the 15,000. The problem is that there are people who are willing to pay any money to travel, and because they are desperate. If those people go and incentivize somebody to bring them, as we know, there are travel agents in Ghana who will charge and even bring people here on a visit visa. That I wouldn't know. My role is as a lawyer is to first of all advise the businesses what you can do and what you can't, and advise the employees what you can do and what you can't do. But as to what arrangement exists between the business and whoever is in whatever place they're bringing from, I'm not sure.
Thank you. Emma, please. Emma Jam. Emma, if you're still with us, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Hello.
Hi. Yes. Good evening.
Yes. Good evening. Please, can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Nana Kwesi and Lawyer Ben, for this wonderful opportunity that you are giving Ghanaians. We appreciate your effort very much. This we don't often get this wonderful contribution from our fellow Ghanaians. So I salute you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is, I joined a bit late, so maybe Uncle Bear, forgive me, maybe if you have already answered. I just want to know, I have got an uncle who is very good in carpentry. When he designs chairs or bed, or he makes them, very fantastic. But he has not got certificate, nothing. But he does a wonderful job. And I want to know if there is opportunity for those people. When you see their handwork, you can see that, this is like a machine made or something like. So I just want to know if there are opportunity for those people. And the second question is it possible that these construction workers can come and work periodically? I mean, like, do you have like a seasonal visits for them? Like they come and work maybe for 3 or 4 months, then they go back. 3 or 4 months, then they go back. Is there opportunity for such people as well? Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
I mean, first of all, yes, I did say we don't need any qualification, but you have to write English, speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Now, I know that my mom can speak and listen. That I don't have a problem, but she cannot write, and she cannot read. So if your standard is you can speak, because most Ghanaians, I'll say majority of Ghanaians can speak and listen. They can communicate in English. But for skilled migrant, you need 4 modules. There's a reading and writing, which causes a lot of problems. And the level of English is about O level. So your uncle is welcome to come if he can go to the British Council and pass his speaking and listening and reading and writing at level B1, which is the European framework. Then he will be able to come. The other thing he needs to do is to get his tuberculosis test done and have the police checks, criminal check also done. Once he gets through that and he's got a willing employer who's happy to offer him employment for 3 years or 5 years, he can come. No, these are not seasonal. There's seasonal agric work, which is seasonal, that if somebody wants to come and pick fruits, then he can come and pick fruits or apples or whatever, but this one leads to settlement, so it's not seasonal.
Okay, thank you, Bernard. That makes me want to ask a question that might be a bit difficult. We back in the days, where we come from, with all the greatest respect, a lot of people who went to those professions is because they could not necessarily excel well in academic. These days it's changed because, handwork and craft and all that has become obviously even much better than some of those with PhDs, to be honest. But is that not fair on those who simply cannot read and write, but their handwork can show for themselves? Do we have any kind of annual art show that people can actually go and see those who can bring value? I mean, I'm just trying to open, what are those lawyers association doing to try and actually speak on the behalf of those who were not able to read, not because it's their fault, to be honest.
Yes, I understand. I think we started off with anti encouraging brain drain, and now we're being asked to even go and fight for those who can come to even come. There is a minimum requirement. And there's a reason why. Now, obviously, you're coming here to do a professional job. Tradesmen are professionals in Ghana and everywhere. My electrician only speaks pidgin English with me, but he's one of the best electricians I've ever had. I've had university electricians, but he's not a university. He's a poly electrician. He only speaks English, pidgin English with me. Now, can he read and write? Yes, he writes for me. He spells some things wrongly, but I understand what he's written. Such a person will be able to pass the exams, okay? But If it's somebody who's never gone to school before, it's very unlikely that they can do the reading and writing. The listening and speaking, that's no problem. And I always use my mom as a yardstick. She's self-taught, and she can speak English very well. And here, because she lives in America and she's lived there for years, so she can do that. But when you ask her to write, that would be a problem. In the same way you find with the tradesmen in Ghana, those who are very good at their trade, and they do our beds and our chairs and our cabinets and stuff. But unfortunately, they are not able to read or to write.
Okay. Someone is asking, is there any incentives from the UK government for employers to give out sponsorship or anything other than incentives? Is there any incentive from the government for employers who want to get these licenses to bring people in that categories?
Well, the incentive is to put this tradesmen and women into the shortage occupation. And they are there because they are in short supply. And so the incentive is basically that it makes their coming here very easy. Although there are requirements, which I've mentioned, as 4 modules of English, speaking, reading, writing, and listening. The incentive is there. Also, just be mindful that this area leads to settlement. So it's not someone who's coming and will have to go back. These people are coming, and after 5 years, they get indefinite leave to remain. And then after a year on indefinite, they can get British citizenship. That is if they want to. And it also allows them to bring all their family, including families that they make after they've come here. It's very important for us to be careful, though, that when these things are done, they're done above board, and the integrity of the system is not jeopardized. I say this because I'm very cautious of the hard sales in some parts of our community where like connection stuff goes on. But clearly, we as lawyers and as community lawyers, which I'm very proud to say that I like when I'm called a community lawyer, because that is how I want to serve my community. We are here to ensure that if something goes wrong, we get involved and have it sorted.
Thank you. Somebody saying, Uncle, please, what happens to those who are already in the UK, but their sponsors just don't have work for them for the past 3 to 4 months? What advice do you have for
I'm
those?
hearing this a lot.
Yes.
I'm hearing this a lot. Now, it's a bit disheartening and disappointing. And those of you who follow our live programs last year, I did warn. I did say that we should be very careful that we don't shut the door. And again, I can only advise, I cannot cajole. The problem we have is that, as with every human endeavor, you have those who want to play by the rules and those who don't want to play by the rules. You have that in every community. The best I can say is that if you've been offered a contract of employment and your employer is not giving you employment, you may have a redress. But also, I'm mindful that some of these people came here because they want a better life. Just also remember that if you are in the care industry, between now and August, you can work for another care industry who doesn't even have a sponsorship license, and you can work there for more than 20 hours. But I'm aware of the problems, and those that I know, I speak to, and advise them to rectify their position, and mainly they are willing to rectify. Unfortunately, there's nothing that I, as a lawyer, can do if the person who is suffering is not complaining. There's absolutely nothing that I can do.
Thank you. Somebody's asking if we can make the presentation available. Yes, all our recordings are on Ghanaian Community Awareness Forum. Just go to Facebook, type in Ghanaian Community Awareness Forum. Every recording we've done since February 2021 are there, including today's one. and you can listen to the whole 2-hour session, if you get the time to do so. Dr. Forikwa, please. Your hand is up. If you can unmute yourself.
Thanks. Mr. Usu, thank you very much for a very good presentation.
Thank you, Doc.
My question is, when somebody comes from outside, aren't they supposed to join the local trade institutions? Because anytime I have a plumber, electrician, carpenter, or any artisan do anything in my house, they have to give me a certificate. And that certificate it's very important when you come to sell the house or insure the house. So when somebody comes from outside, how do they take care of that?
Okay, so in this country, you cannot be an electrician without a certificate. You cannot be a Kogi gas plumber. If you touch a gas outlet or inlet and you're not a Kogi certified, you're committing a criminal offense. But apart from that, carpenter doesn't really have to have anything. A mason doesn't have to have anything. So short of the electrician, because of the consequences of that going wrong, and the gas plumber, not plumber, gas plumber, because again of the consequences if they don't do it properly. Those two, yes, you have to. But there's nothing stopping anyone from, enhancing their qualification. I mean, I've always believed in self-development, that everything you do it to the best of your ability. And if it means that you join an association or you acquire certificates and go on training, I have a cabinet maker in the UK whom I've taken to Ghana to do some work for us. And he works for the big kitchen companies. So they give him regular training. But apart from the training, he doesn't really have any certificate to show that I'm a Kogi gas approved plumber or whatever. But the choice really is for everyone. If you obviously want people to be qualified before they touch your stuff, then yes, the number of times that we've seen people giving neutral to F and F to positive, sometimes it's frightening. And it doesn't happen here often, but in Ghana that happens when somebody calls themselves an electrician. So if you bring somebody to your house, yes, you have to make sure that they are qualified. And I always look for references. And for us, we make sure we only deal with people that we've known for years and years and years. And they obviously sometimes also recommend other people if that's not their special area. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard. Somebody's talking about auto technician. I don't know if he's among the skilled. He said, how can I get sponsorship for a very skilled craftsman? Is there any sponsorship for highly skilled auto technician? Is it
yes,
part of
you can get a sponsorship in a business, even hairdressing salon. I did say this in our last engagement.
Yes.
Hairdressing salon can get a sponsorship and justify why they want to bring somebody from outside. I mean, as I've always said, whatever we do, once you do it to your best of ability, you can always succeed.
Thank you. Of course, we've not had any hands up at this point. Few minutes to finish. Bernard, would you give us your closing remarks, please?
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very grateful to be serving you. It's something that I don't take lightly. I live on service to my community, and I'm glad that I've been invited by the Ghana Union through their chairman, my own friend, Nana Kwesi Kwesen. But as we've said, this is an opportunity for businesses to make sure that the perennial shortage that they always have with skilled workers that they don't get. There's an opportunity for you to enhance your ability to have access to people here and also from outside. And especially for those who are outside, who are also looking to come. Now you know that you need to be able to write and read English. So maybe you want to take lessons. There's a lady in UK who does this. She's called Manyeti. And in future, I will make a number available to my friend, Nana Kwesen. if you want to come, this is a route for you. Please, let's all be mindful of the duties that we have, and so that when the person comes, we do what is necessary and we don't abuse them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lawyer Bennard. It's been a pleasure. As always, anytime I have you on the platform, it helps, it saves me a lot of work, because all these questions are things some of us walking around the streets across the grassroots, we do get. And I'm grateful that you share your highly, gained knowledge for free. And we don't take it for granted. On behalf of the Ghana Union, the Ghana Nurses Association of UK, and the Nightingale Nurses Association UK, and of course, Western Region Association of Nurses of UK, Ghana High Commission, Omega Live TV, with sponsors including Tap Send, Diaspora Insurance, and IT Consortium. We are grateful for your participation tonight. I hope tonight's session will help you educate your family and friends. Please, whenever we have the chance to explain what goes on in UK, let's not hesitate to tell people the truth. One of the frustrating things is that people all of a sudden think that it's easier to bring somebody here. And it's harder when you cannot do it, especially if you've been here for years and you haven't done it. You become an enemy to most families. Let us go to Ghana, be honest with people, explain things clearly. Let's not pretend that everything is hunky-dory here. It will help all of us and save our people from taking wrong decisions that affect themselves and their livelihood. Sometimes when you hear people in Ghana retiring or even taking early retirement from work, taking so much money and giving it to wrong hands and then becoming nothing out of it, all because they want to go to UK. It's quite heartbreaking. We wish you all the best this evening, the rest of the weekend. And of course, Ghana Union has a dinner dance on the 27th of this month, May. We are doing a face-to-face community reunion after COVID. We've never had anything like this before since 2019. And I'm urging all of you, those who are able to come, let's celebrate a union, a community, and friendship. If you need to buy a ticket, tickets are available at £30 single and £50 for a couple or pair. Give me a call on 077 343 12820, or contact any of our people that you know. You can contact any of our partners, Ghana Nurses. They will link you to me. Any of the groups that are involved. Of course, I'm grateful to the IT team, Paul and Linda Kwabwa from Access Media, sitting behind the scene and bringing this show live to you every 2 weeks to the very best of our ability. I hope you keep enjoying with us, and whenever you get the flyer, please pass it on, share. For one or two reasons, somebody will benefit from whatever we say. People might think COVID is over and there's no need for this forum. Of course, there's a need, because tonight, if we didn't do it, a lot of these things will not be at your disposal. So we will keep doing as and when we can, and we count on the community to support this program. Let's do it. Let's get it done. It's one way we can educate ourselves and our family. I wish you all well, have a restful weekend, and have a pleasant night. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Nana.
Hello. You're from a Calibos, the Willie boss. Oh, wait, what that? New York for more, America for more. Tap in tea, may cheer yourself and then in my bedroom, New York City, say, sometime. Someone will need here. Your most reliable, fast, secured money transfer app. Tap Send. About New York City. Ne san say ye near 3 years. Ya pesi a boy customers phone now. Ni say wonti. Tap Send. The new feature be a beka ho. Be boa na bon ho ban. A protect so. Na so send ni sika. Ye hu pa or sending into no ubeko app na so no upload o passport and I say o driver's license and I say o resident permit card o upload ya yes ramo no say twa selfie ka krebi aka ho na so twa bia ebe boa ma tap send be hu nipa ko a o send sika every wo account ni mu e o tap send app no so boa yen ni emboa o Tap send. It's secure, it's fast, and it's convenient everywhere. Baby.
Araba, there are some people at the door. Go and tell them I have traveled to Russia.
Yes, Daddy.
Where's your father?
My father said I should tell you he has traveled to Russia.
Your father has killed me. I sent him money from America to complete my house for me.
Are all student association contributions?
Even the money from the fundraiser for Kweku's surgery.
Oh! too? Don't be a victim. If you're contributing to a project, alumni dues, or any public campaign, Chango is your best choice. Chango keeps track of all donations and gives you the power to know exactly where the money goes. Chango is approved by Bank of Ghana. Call 0270-066-614 or visit changoapp.com for more information.
Uncle, my father is hiding under the bed.
Oh, Araba.
Chango for your groupings and crowdfunding.
At Diaspora Insurance, we understand the importance of dignified send-offs within Ghanaian culture and traditions. We also understand that you want to avoid the double trauma of your family grieving and not having the financial support to cover funeral expenses when you're not around. With our Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan, you can now cover yourself or your family in Ghana or abroad. With no medicals required, we'll accept you if you are under 75 years. Visit our website today or call us to complete a simple form in under 5 minutes. With Diaspora Insurance, your peace of mind is guaranteed.